I have one thought, just one thought, for you to carry through this whole day with you as often as you're able to return to it, and here it is. Greetings. The Lord is with you. We're talking in this Advent season about being connected with God. That little word greetings is given to Mary. We'll read the text in a moment. When our kids were in school, we would get a call always from the school district if they missed a class. And the first word was always greetings. And it sounded like it was really good news, only it wasn't. Then the next line would be, your child had an unexcused absence today. So that was a greetings where there was an absence. This is a greetings where there is a presence, and it is the most important presence any human being can experience. And is the promise of the presence of God. There's a very rich statement that's used in the Hebrew Scriptures, the Old Testament, where God actually says to Isaac, I will be with you in Genesis 26. And then to Jacob in chapter 28, I will be with you. And then to Jeremiah in chapter 1, or an angel says to Gideon in the book of Judges, the Lord is with you, mighty warrior. It's the message of Advent, the message of incarnation. And it's going to come today to a very young woman. This is Luke chapter 1. And then it's going to come to you. Luke chapter 1. In the 6th month of Elizabeth's pregnancy, if you've been tracking along with us, then you may know that the angel Gabriel came to Elizabeth's husband, Zechariah, and said that they were going to have a child. They were old. Zechariah was a priest. But they were infertile, so they would have been lower status. Now, in the 6 months of Elizabeth's pregnancy, God sent the angel Gabriel to Nazareth, a town in Galilee, to a virgin pledged to be married to a man named Joseph, a descendant of David. The virgin's name was Mary. Now, this is a young girl. In Roman law, a girl could be married at the age of 12. That was, folks who write about this sort of thing will say, probably about customary in this time, 12 and a half or so years old for the girl. Boy had to be at least 14. It was a different age than ours, clearly. Mortality rate was a lot younger. Mary would have had no reason for her status to be elevated. Part of what we're seeing here is God is coming not to the kings, not to Herod, but to people of lowly status and elevating them. And so he comes to Mary. The angel went to her and said, greetings, you who are highly favored. The Lord is with you. Mary was greatly troubled at his words and wondered what kind of greeting this might be. But the angel said to her, do not be afraid, Mary. You have found favor with God. You will conceive and give birth to a son, and you are to call him Jesus. He will be great and will be called the Son of the Most High. The Lord God will give him the throne of his father David, and he will reign over Jacob's descendants forever, and his kingdom will never end. And I'll stop the reading of the text there. I just simply want to camp out for a bit on that line. The Lord is with you. One of the most treasured statements in all of the Scriptures, but coming now to somebody who did not expect it at all and would have to receive now a sense of her identity and her mission in life, not from what she wanted or expected, but from God, who would now be with her no matter what. And the great message of Advent, of incarnation, is God has come in the person of Jesus to be with you, that you will never be alone. Greetings, the Lord is with you. I was reading recently theological reflections from a rabbi on an unlikely source. It's a book called The Runaway Bunny. He was talking about how the plight of the human race is estrangement, loneliness, so much is written about that. And we'll think about loneliness as if somehow another person or society could take it away, but it actually runs much, much deeper, and it is a sense of estrangement from our being, from our identity, ultimately from God. And the promise that is coming from God to his people is, I will love you no matter what. So this rabbi is reflecting on a book you might have heard of. It's called The Runaway Bunny. And it's a story of this little bunny rabbit. It was written in 1942 by Margaret Wise Brown. A little bunny that says to his mom, I'm going to run away from you. And she says, well, you go ahead, but I'm going to keep loving you. And this book can be read, interpreted in different ways. I'll come back to that, but listen to these words for a moment, simply as the expression of unconditional, unfailing, relentless love on the part of a parent to a child, and then think about you being loved by God in that way. Greetings. The Lord is with you. Once there was a little bunny who wanted to run away. So he said to his mother, I'm running away. If you run away, said his mother, I will run after you, for you are my little bunny. If you run after me, said the little bunny, I will become a fish in a trout stream, and I will swim away from you. If you become a fish in a trout stream, said his mother, I will become a fisherman, and I will fish for you. If you become a fisherman, said the little bunny, I will become a rock on the mountain high above you. If you become a rock on the mountain high above me, said his mother, I will be a mountain climber, and I will climb to where you are. If you become a mountain climber, said the little bunny, I will be a crocus in a hidden garden. If you become a crocus in a hidden garden, said his mother, I will be a gardener, and I will find you. If you're a gardener and find me, said the little bunny, I will be a bird and fly away from you. If you become a bird and fly away from me, said his mother, I will be a tree that you come home to. If you become a tree, said the little bunny, I will become a little sailboat and I will sail away from you. If you become a sailboat and sail away from me, said his mother, I will become the wind and blow you where I want you to go. If you become the wind and blow me, said the little bunny, I will join a circus and fly away on a flying trapeze. If you go flying on a flying trapeze, said his mother, I will be a tightrope walker, and I will walk across the air to you. If you become a tightrope walker and walk across the air, said the little bunny, I will become a little boy and run into a house. If you become a little boy and run into a house, said the mother bunny, I will become your mother and catch you in my arms and hug you. Shucks, said the bunny, I might just as well stay where I am and be your little bunny. And so he did. Have a carrot, said his mother. Now, as you may know, if you follow this sort of thing, that book in our day, because we live in a therapeutic age, quite different from 1942, that book yields a variety of interpretations in including kind of a dysfunctional point of view where instead of honoring the kid's independence, sometimes you just got to get away. The mom's kind of smothering him and refuses to allow him to go. It's kind of striking when Jesus tells a story about the runaway child. It's the story of a prodigal son, and the father doesn't turn into a pig trough. The father allows the child the freedom to go, but the father's heart is breaking. The father's heart always wants his son to come home. And this is God's heart towards you and me. Joel Green, in his commentary on Luke, notes that initially we see God kind of solving the problem of Zechariah and Elizabeth that they're barren, but then he comes to Mary and she doesn't have a problem. In fact, God's going to really create a problem for her. That the point of this story is not so much God starting with your problem or my problem as we experience them. In a sense, it's God's problem, which is that he loves the human race and they have become estranged from him. And he wants them back. And I was thinking, in that story of the runaway bunny, there's all these metaphors. And often when Jesus would teach, he would use metaphors, often from creation. The Old Testament does this, to talk about God's love. And part of why I think that story about the bunny resonates so deeply with us is every one of those pictures comes from God. So I'll become a fisherman, Luke 5. Jesus says, you follow after me and I will make you fishers of men. Or God is like a rock. Psalmist in Psalm 28 says, God, you are my rock. Or like the gardener in John chapter 20, Mary is there after the resurrection, and she thinks that Jesus is the gardener. She meets him in the garden. Or becoming a tree. Revelation 22 says that in the city of God there is a tree of life, and its leaves bring healing to the nation. Or the wind. Jesus says to Nicodemus in John 3 that the wind blows wherever it will. You don't know where it comes from. You don't know where it goes. So it is with everyone who is born of the Spirit. The Spirit is like the wind. Or the walker. God says to Israel in Hosea chapter 11, "For it was I who taught Israel, Ephraim, how to walk, bending down and leading them with cords of love, but they did not realize it was me." Or, of course, home, that picture of the temple. And Jesus says to his followers right before he leaves this earth, "In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would," in every case, that home that we long for, the place that we run away from but need to run to, the fisherman, the mountain, the rock, the wind, the home, it's God. And now, in the Advent, he sends Jesus to you and me. Greetings. The Lord is with you. So the invitation today is to use those metaphors, to just look around you, and when you see a rock, when you feel the wind blow, when you come home, you think about, this is God saying to you, I love you, I am with you, no matter what you have done, and no matter where you have been, and no matter how much you have failed. I do not stop loving you. My love will always pursue you. I will honor your personhood. I will give you freedom. You may go a long way away from home, but I will not stop loving you. That's our God, and I need to hear those words, and you do too. And then surrender. In thinking about how to be connected with God, bringing his presence before my mind. I've set the Lord always before me. If you're in pain, if you're disappointed, then use whatever metaphor will help you to do that as you go through this day. And then we'll see the remarkable statement that this young girl, Mary, makes is, "May it be to me as you have said, surrender." What causes my biggest disconnect with God is just my unwillingness to surrender. And it crops up all the time, and I just got to look for it. I was in the car quite a while today. Periodically, somebody would make a move on the road that I didn't like, get right in front of me, and I would just start indulging in some anger. And to let that go, because resentment, anger, always has the impact. Sin always does this. It disconnects me from God. I was with a few people that I love, but they wanted to go to a restaurant and spend a longer time at a place where I didn't want to go. And just to let go, it doesn't have to be my will that's being done. Just to allow that to happen. Or I came back to a place where I lived for many, many years, haven't been here for several months, haven't been away this long from here for 20 years. And I found when I drove back, I was a little surprised to find I feel kind of sad around some memories. And then I realized, no, this is not just grief. This is self-pity. I'm an expert at self-pity. Self-pity is one of the things that I do best. But it cuts me off from God, because then I don't think about the fact that God is right here with me. So whenever a thought, an inclination, a temptation, an action, a word tempts you to get disconnected today, just come back to, may it be to me. Your will be done. Here's the word for you and me today. Greetings. The Lord is with you.
Hey, thanks for joining us. My name's Tim. I'm a part of the team here at Become New, and I live in Minnesota, so it's freezing where I am. Be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any future teachings from John as we walk through the Christmas story a few verses at a time. You can also visit our website, becomenew.com, to find more teaching just like this. And if you've got a prayer request, please text it to us so we can pray for you. You can text it to the number 855-888-0444. Thanks for joining us. Merry Christmas, and we'll see you next time.